My mother is just the life in my heart, and I used to call her Cupcakes. Her real name was Cleo Coleman, and she was a social worker, and she went to Kentucky State University, and she and my father met while they were in college, and they got married about 3 days after they graduated, and they raised 5 children, of which I was one of their sons, and they lived together and were married for about 42 years. But about 10 years ago, my mother passed away on December the 17th, 2002. And so she's in my heart and soul today.
And what's your favorite memory of you and your mom?
The biggest one that I remember and that made the biggest impact on me is that I always wanted to go to Howard University. It's a wonderful university in Washington, D.C. She used to tell me, baby, you're going to be just like those Kennedy boys one day. They went to Harvard, and you're going to go to Howard. And so I applied to go to Howard University and submitted the application. And about 60 days later, after I submitted the application, they sent me this letter saying that I didn't do as well as I should have done on the SAT, especially in the verbal portion, the English portion. I'm still having a little bit of trouble with that today, Joe. But nevertheless, they said, we're not going to give you the opportunity to come to Howard. So I was very devastated. And my mother said, don't worry, I'll write a letter. And I said, well, Mama, what is that going to do? Everybody writes letters. Every mother probably writes a letter. And she said, well, just trust in me, baby, and trust in the Lord. And so I had given up. My father said, good. He needs to go to Kentucky State anyway. It's cheaper. Well, at the time, it was $1,200 a year. My parents were going to really struggle to send me to Howard University, far away from Lexington. And so my mother wrote this letter, and she put it in the mail. I remember seeing her write this letter in the evenings. And she put it in the mail, and I guess about 90 days later, I got another letter in the mailbox way down on the road, and I saw it from Howard University, and I thought to myself, now, how would I be receiving another letter from Howard unless it wasn't, you know, they must have been some good news in it. And so I opened it up down on the road, and it said in there that I had been accepted. And I ran up the driveway, Mama, Mama, Mama. And she said, what's wrong, baby? She called me babe and baby all the time, and that's what she called all of us. And I said, Howard University, they've given me a second chance. And so she looked at it and read it, and she started to cry. And she was so excited that I'd been accepted. And she wrote a letter to them, to the president of the university, saying, please let my son in at Howard, because he's going to be very successful one day. And once he's successful, he'll do a lot for the university, and you'll be very proud of him. And just give him a chance and let him in on probation. If he doesn't do well, I'll come to get him after 1 semester. And so in reading the details of the letter, they put me in what they call the CAR program, Center for Academic Reinforcement, to help me with English and you know, to help me with the grammar and all, coming, I guess, from Kentucky and all. And I was mad about that portion, and my mother said, don't worry, but you're in. And so she helped me to go to the University of Kentucky that summer, and I took English 101. She helped me every night, and I ended up getting an A, so that when I started in the fall at Howard University, I went right into the second semester of English. And so my life is a mother's letter, and if she didn't write that letter, I probably wouldn't be here today. I would be in Kentucky milking cows and feeding the hogs and enjoying the heck out of life. But because she wrote that letter, I've had an opportunity to live all over the country. I've worked for 4 Fortune 500 companies, and I've lived in about 15 different cities. But my life is different because of a mother's letter.